Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Cancast, our podcast with the Cancard team. And this week we have Kyle from PAX. Now, I know a lot of our Cancard members were pretty excited to hear about our collaboration and wanted to know a little bit more information on what we're doing with PAX, but all in good time. We'll get to that throughout the podcast. First of all, I just want to introduce you all to Kyle. So Kyle is the UK sales manager for PAX. You can check out their website, www.eu.pax.com. For any little extras that you want to see on different vaporizers that they have and how the whole brand works and what it looks like if you're not familiar, which I'm sure a lot of you already are. It's a very well-known vaporizing brand. But maybe if I hand it over to you, Kyle, you can just give us a little information, a little introduction to yourself, how you ended up working for PAX, what it's like to work for the brand, and what exactly the brand of PAX is, if for people who are not sure.
Hey, so I'm Kyle. I work with PAX. I joined PAX last year, so coming up on my year anniversary now. And yeah, I've just been a big fan of the brand for years. I was actually working in a vape store a couple of years ago, and we sold PAX, and that's where I fell in love with it. It's just a really great solution for people who are obviously medicinal cannabis patients, but as well in a vape shop, you find it works great for people who are trying to quit smoking as well, because PAX can help someone cut out cigarettes and tobacco. So yeah, been a big fan of PAX since about 2017, and had one since the PAX 2. There was the PAX 2, the PAX 3. Now we're on to the PAX Plus and Mini. It's a brand based out of California, and obviously one of the leading vaporizer brands, doing great in Europe and the UK. So honored to work with them, and honored to be able to work with you guys as well. PAX loves Cancard, so.
Yeah. And so it's a Californian brand, so they obviously have that sort of medicinal cannabis or access to cannabis. They have that down in California, don't they? They know they have dispensaries, they have pharmacies, they have people, they have growers, they have rollers, they have everybody. If you want to go in and talk about medical cannabis, it's a good place to follow.
Yeah, they have over there. They have a few more products as well with PAX, but in Europe it's the Plus and the Mini. But yeah, in California it's obviously very exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So you say they have the PAX Mini. So we have a little Cancard giveaway that we're going to be using through PAX. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it already, but I'll just show you the amazing little Cancard vape that we have, and it's been inscribed with a little Cancard symbol on it for one of our Cancard members. There's a competition running near the end of the month, so keep an eye on our socials on how you can enter that. And just out of interest, do you know what model this is, Kyle?
So you've got there a PAX Plus, so that is our new top of the range device. It's got 4 experience modes, so you can use stealth, efficiency, flavor, and boost modes. Choose what mood you're in. It's got a chamber for 0.5 gram of herb you can put in there. So 0.5 gram in the oven, and then in the box you'll have a few accessories. So it's a dual use vaporizer. You can also use concentrates. It comes with a concentrate insert. Comes with a few other fun accessories like a 1/2 pack oven lid if you want to reduce it to 1/4 gram in the oven.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit for those that maybe are not very sure what you mean by that. So there's a lot of terminology, obviously, that's used within the vape world, and a lot of people love their vape, and a lot of people are shifting from rolling their medicine in with tobacco or just on its own. And we're focusing this entire month for Cancard, the whole month of August is around information on vapes. Why we're encouraging our Cancard members to make the shift, or at least explore it a little bit and see whether they like it or not. I know that there's a lot of sort of pushback from members within the cannabis community, within the Cancard community, who are a little bit dubious about making that shift to a dry herb vaporizer. It's worth noting, if you go down the medical cannabis prescription route in the UK, you have to use a vaporizer. That's part of the agreement of the prescription. Whether everybody does that, I mean, that's entirely down to the individual. So there is a general push towards using vaporizers instead of rolling tobacco or rolling it in papers as you would normally. So we have this little vape. So here, if you were to look at this vape, for me, it's like, where do we even begin? Like, where do I put the flower in? Can you just explain how that opens?
So I've got one here. So I'm holding it the
perfect.
same as yours. And then basically you just want to, there's a little at the bottom here, there's the oven lid. So on the back, it's got the, let's say PAX Plus. And on the bottom, just below there, you just literally push one side and then the magnet will lift off. And
okay,
then
so that's actually super easy. And that's where your little chamber is. So that's where you would put your flower.
Yep, you've got a 3D oven screen in there. So there's a pipe that goes through the device. That 3D oven screen is an upgrade on the old PAX 2 and 3 oven screens, where you can literally just poke one side and it's kind of shaped like a bowl. It will lift up on the other side. So if you've got some resin, some residue left in there from your previous session, you'll be able to just get it out really easily and clean it. So we've upgraded a few things from the older devices. You put about 0.5 gram in this one, or 1/4 gram if you've got the half-pack oven lid, and then you just want to grind really finely your herb and then pack it really tightly.
So how much did you say you would recommend putting into the vape?
It's roughly 0.5 grams, so about 0.5 gram, just maybe slightly less, like close to 0.4. But obviously it depends on the herb. But we really recommend grind finely and pack it tightly. You get a really nice hit out of there if you've ground it really finely and packed it really tightly.
And so, what is the benefits of grinding it? I mean, I suppose it's better because your medicine will last longer. The more you grind it, the finer you grind it down, the more you'll have, I suppose. What is the benefits of grinding it finely? Do you have to do that, or can you just drop?
No, it will still, we find it'll still work if you use, not as a fine grind. You don't have to have a super expensive grinder or anything. We just recommend that and packing it really tightly, because what you want is it to be really condensed in there so that it's conduction heating. So the heat on the outside of the oven, it's going to heat the herb on the outside, and you want that heat to travel through to the middle. So obviously back in the old days, there was a lot of vaporizers where they would heat the outside, but then the middle would still be, bright green, barely heated. Whereas if you've ground it really finely and packed it really tightly, that heat's going to travel through. It's going to heat everything nice and evenly. You won't get an uneven heat. So then that means that you can just, you won't have to kind of open it up and mix it around. You'll just be able to pack it all in there and then turn it on. And that's all you have to think about until you next fill it.
Okay, good to know. And you also mentioned earlier that these vapes have modes in them. You mentioned a stealth mode, which I think is, from a patient perspective, I'm assuming that's a great mode to have if you are out maybe in the public and you need to use your vaporizer to medicate, if you're sort of caught unawares and you need to use it there. Can you explain the different modes then? So what did we have? We had stealth mode.
Stealth, efficiency, flavor, and boost. So yeah, the stealth mode is a really, really useful one, especially in the UK. You guys do great stuff with Cancard, but I'm sure even Cancard users don't want to be getting their card out every hour in their day. It's great when you need it, but it'd be great to not need it. And the stealth mode is great for just making sure you're not giving off a load of odor, not giving off a load of smell. It dims the LEDs on there as well. It gives you great flavor. You find that the lower the temperature, you're going to get really amazing aroma and flavor from your herb. Whereas when you go to the higher temperatures, and obviously eventually if you were combusting it, you're not going to get nearly as good flavor. So stealth is great for that. If you don't like the dimmed, if you don't want the lights dimmed, you can roll it towards you to dim the lights, or roll it away from you to heat turn the lights up as well.
Just to be clear on that, the lights are just the little PAX symbol that's on the front.
Yep, so you can dim the lights with the stealth mode as well. So it's on there, you see the lights, you put it on 1 out of 4, the stealth mode, and then it's heating up on purple, and then it just dims those lights. And then you can just spin it around to change the LEDs as well and turn the brightness up and down. But yeah, the stealth mode, you're going to get amazing flavor. And like I said, it's really good, really discreet. Obviously, you guys do some great work with like housing associations and landlords. And it's one of those things where the smell smell is often the kind of biggest issue with using medicinal cannabis. And if you're using the stealth mode, if you're using a vaporizer, the smell is so much reduced compared to smoking it. It doesn't linger and cling to things like smoke does. So no matter what mode you're using, the smell is going to be a lot better than smoking it. However, on that stealth mode, you're going to find it even better. So really, really useful.
Okay, so that's a really important mode, I think, for patients. It's something I know that we deal with a lot. Like you said, we deal with a lot of housing associations, we deal with family members, we deal with neighbours, especially, where we actually just put out an Instagram post this week about a Cancard member, Simon, who was having issues with the way he was consuming his cannabis because the smell was very potent, and he has now switched to a vaporizer. So, and he's finding the shift in itself, changing the method of consumption, takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yes.
But it does definitely reduce the smell. And also, even in that instant, it reduces the smell. But I also think even the next day, there's a difference, because if you're smoking it in tobacco, I think that smell lingers around. It's in your clothes, it's in your hair, it's in your house the next day. Even when you're using a vaporizer, for me personally, my experience is the smell is there as that instant kind of vapor, and then give it maybe a minute or two and the smell sort of disappears for sure.
Yeah, it dissipates a lot quicker. I'm someone who has been renting for a long time, and landlords are not going to love that smell when they go in, and it's if it's clung to your curtains, and obviously I think maybe people have various opinions on cannabis versus tobacco, what clings more, etc. But definitely when you're using a vaporizer, it's not going to have nearly the intensity of the lingering odor. So it's really great, especially if nowadays a lot of people live with flatmates, family members. It's just going to keep everyone else happy, and then as long as you can have your prescription and not upset anyone else, like no one gets a prescription to bother anyone, and hopefully using a vaporizer will change a lot of people's lives and make sure they're a lot less friction in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me personally, for using a vaporizer, I was quite intrigued by them. I wasn't very sure how they worked. I'm very much a sort of ritual roller. I use cannabis medicinally for lower back issues. I have a little bit of sciatica, but I'm also a yoga teacher. I have a daily meditation practice, and I really find that using the vaporizer is just a nice thing to do for me for part of my yoga practice. I do think that the strength of it, I like to be able to shift the strength of it. So you said that there's a mode of, I'm assuming that would be the efficiency mode on.
So there's then, the whole thing with our plus is like, what mood are you in? Like everyone, we've moved away from having, say, this is this temperature, this is this temperature. We do have the information available if people want to vaporize at a different temperature. For example, the stealth is 175 degrees to 180 degrees. And then the efficiency mode is then, these modes generally do go up in heat. So the efficiency mode is 180 to 215. And that's basically just a mode that's going to gradually increase the temperature over time. It's going to make sure that you start off and get great flavor, a great hit, but then over time, as your herb is getting vaporized, it's heating up, making sure it's vaporizing every last bit. It's going to make your herb last a long time. And, we hear from patients all the time who are, maybe looking at different prescriptions, maybe one's cheaper than the other, and making decisions based on that. Like, it's great if you can get the prescription that's right for you, but not have to worry about price so much. And, we know we're a premium product, but hopefully with daily users, regular users, after a while, you'll notice if you're going from smoking to using a vaporizer, chances are you will notice you're saving a lot of money in the long run. Just with the efficiency mode, it's just going to make things last a lot longer. So if you are hoping not to pick up your prescription too soon, then it's great to have that efficiency mode.
Yeah, and so the efficiency average, so sort of daily, sort of average temperature is 180 to 215. So interestingly,
yes.
Yeah. So I actually, full disclosure, don't have a PAX vape. I haven't, yeah, possibly. They recommended starting at 200, which I thought was quite a high temperature to start on if you're shifting to a vape. But I did like the idea of being able to shift the temperature. So as I said, like I have a meditation practice in the morning, so I don't necessarily want to be using my vape at a 200 temperature first thing in the morning. So that information really kind of opened up the whole new world for me in terms of pain management, and also my own consumption for my yoga practice, and how I can really adapt the way I consume cannabis for the way my lifestyle, if I'm going to work, if I'm not working. And I think that's a really important element for patients, because, or for just everybody in general who's intrigued by the vape and what are the benefits of it. I think that's a really strong point to talk about. And you also have the flavor mode and the boost. Flavor, for those who've maybe heard some words flying around in terminology, is the terpenes that's within your cannabis flower, your prescription, whatever you're putting into your vape.
Yes.
And
so the with
just to pause on that, do you have a favorite terpene, favorite flavor that you put in your own vape?
I don't really.
We're just looking at there are so many different flavors and so many different ways of consuming flower. I was just curious to see whether
I think definitely like the light and fruity, like and the same with everything.
Yeah,
when it comes to cocktails as well, light and fruity. When it comes to medicinal cannabis, light and fruity. Yeah. You can never go wrong with some lemons.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's a really popular flavor. I think the lemonine is quite one that people talk about a lot.
Yeah. With so with the flavor mode, that's going to be great for the cannabinoids and the terpenes. It's like geniuses over at PAX Labs spend a lot of time figuring out what is the correct temperature, and they reckon it's somewhere between 190 and 205. So it's going to give you a really good flavor profile. A lot of people have loving the flavor when we go to expos where we're allowed to, in places where we're allowed to demo the packs. We often just put it straight on the flavor mode, and we often recommend that as someone trying it for the first time, because you, like say, compared to if you've been smoking it, then when you get to a vaporizer with a really good flavor, if you've got something that tastes delicious in there as well, it's just going to be a whole different ball game. It's going to be great.
Yeah, a whole different experience, I would imagine. And that's interesting. So maybe if we've got some listeners to the podcast and they are used to just instantly starting at high temperature, maybe it'd be interesting just to find out a little bit of feedback from any of you that are listening. What's your favorite temperature? Where do you start your temperature in the morning? Does it progress throughout the day? So definitely send us some information in. You can leave some comments in our social media and we'll get back to you on that. It's an interesting thing to talk about, giving everybody a little bit of education around temperature and combustion and how that affects your cannabis and how that affects your whole consumption and your method, and maybe with pain management and, you know, all the other bits and pieces in between.
That leads nicely onto the boost mode, because the boost mode, I often recommend the boost mode for people who have been smoking for a really long time. So you'll have Cancard holders who have maybe been smoking for a really long time and now they're looking to switch to a vaporizer. And, you know, I personally love the stealth mode, and lots of people do, but if you've been smoking for 20 years, that little amount of vapor might feel kind of ridiculous to someone who's been smoking for a very long time. They probably want to start on the boost mode, and it's kind of a learning curve where as you get used to using a vaporizer, eventually you'll be able to try out different experience modes and temperatures. But generally with the boost mode, it's just great to start out if you've been smoking for a really long time, because you're going to get a lot of vapor production. You're going to exhale quite a bit, and you're going to also get a strong throat hit, which a lot of people who've been smoking for a long time, they kind of really like that throat hit you get from your first inhale of the day. So yeah, the boost mode is going to be great for that. So yeah, I always recommend that.
And just thinking on some comments that we had recently on our social media around vaporizers, and there was a few comments of people saying, I tried it, I didn't like it, the flower tasted burnt, it was bad on my throat, I didn't enjoy the experience at all. Is there something that you can sort of guide people with if they're having that burnt taste? Is that because then the temperature is too high, or?
So yeah, it could be. The other thing is, so sometimes what can happen is if you haven't filled, there are other vaporizers. Like I said, we recommend you grind finely and pack tightly, and that's not necessarily advice that's applicable to every single vaporizer. There are some that like a little bit of distance in there. There are some that heat differently. There's conduction heaters, there's convection heaters. You want to make sure when you're buying your vaporizer to, it's often great to go off what other people are using, what you've heard about, etc. But if you buy, if you look at, say, one vaporizer and then end up getting a different one, and you might follow the advice for, say, a PAX, and that might not necessarily be applicable to the one you have. So I'd say definitely look into what the packing procedure is going to be like for yours. If you want to grind finely and pack tightly, might not be the case for your vaporizer. You may have had another vaporizer where that wasn't the case, and now you're using a PAX. So if you just put that herb in there and it's kind of just rattling around in the oven and not touching the sides, eventually it's going to get heated up. You're not going to get too much of the vapor production, but then eventually when you look in, it's going to be heated up. It's not going to have great taste. So yeah, just make sure you're using the vaporizer. A lot of people don't read the instructions. They just kind of take it out the box and play around. But yeah, with a PAX, I'd say
that's good to know then. If you have a vaporizer at the moment, or you've just bought a new one and it's not of the PAX brand, that's not necessarily the way you should be packing your cannabis or your flower into the heat chamber. So maybe that's something that you should look at as well. That's a good point. So not one shoe fits all for every single vape. And all.
So a few of them are quite different. Like say, I find if you were grinding really finely and packing tightly in the PAX, then you should get amazing flavor. If you're using the boost mode, like say, it's about, hopefully when you open the box, you'll know what you want to try first. So if you want amazing flavor, I definitely recommend starting on, three, basically just not boost mode. So if you want amazing flavor, it's the flavor mode, obviously, but the stealth and efficiency. And I'd still say the boost has great flavor. It's going to have more of that kind of warmer, kind of crispier taste than the other three modes. But it still should, when you first fill it, it will taste amazing. And then I find eventually the flower will start tasting less fun and tasty. It'll just be a bit warmer. People often describe it as kind of popcorny tasting. But yeah, I don't mind it personally. A lot of people don't mind it, but it's just about that thing. A lot of people will stop when the flower is no longer creating vapor. So you could have it on, say, the flavor mode. When you're not getting much vapor, you turn it onto the boost mode. You'll probably get a little bit extra vapor, but the flavor won't be as nice. And then it's entirely up to you how long you keep that going. So obviously you can, PAX official recommendation is around 16 to 20 pulls on the device. However, most people will find they get a lot more than that. And then it's just about your preference for when you want to turn it off.
Okay.
And refill it.
No. And you also mentioned the packaging in the box and stuff. So just let's have a little look at the one that you've sent me. I mean, it's really packaged lovely. And you've got all these little extras that are in the box. So can you just explain what comes with the vape? What are the features of this? Specifically this vape here, because this is the competition that we're going to be organizing with yourselves. So one of our Cancard members is going to be able to win this engraved Cancard vaporizer. So what are the little extras that come in the box with it?
So I have the same model as yours here, just sadly not got the cool Cancard engraving on it. So you've got your charger. So the charger just sits on the back. It's just a little a cradle. Yep. So if you take that out, it's just a little cradle that sits on the device. So it's a USB. Takes just shy of 3 hours from completely dead to full, and you'll get quite a few, like usually around 5 to 8 sessions out of the device, depending on the you might get a little bit more. It depends. Obviously the stealth mode is going to use a little bit less battery power than the boost mode. You've also got,
so there's also a little accessories kit in here that comes with it, that's obviously got a little cleaning device on it.
So as well in the box, we also have the concentrate chamber. So that's really useful if you want to use, you know, some of the things like CBD crystals. There's a lot of CBD products, especially available in the UK legally, that can go in the concentrate chamber. Obviously, there's lots of fun stuff you can get in America where it's legal, but over here, there might be something you can get via prescription that uses that. We recommend using the concentrate chamber on boost mode. It's better to use it at a high temperature. It sits just slightly flush out of the device. So you take the oven lid off the bottom.
Can you explain what a concentrate is, Kyle, just in case anybody doesn't know what that means?
You can get different concentrates. So, for example, you can get the wax that comes from the herb, and then that could be very concentrated. So you might get prescribed that maybe for, I know some conditions, but they might prefer to use the wax. It can be very high in certain cannabinoids, and you might want to go for that one. And then you can literally just pop it in the concentrate chamber in there, and then it just goes in there. And then you can just pop it on the device. It will sit slightly flush, so don't try and force it in. It's just got a little bit more airflow for you there. And yeah, it just means that, you know, it's great. Hopefully in as we're getting closer to, you know, more readily available medicinal cannabis and more closer to maybe recreational use one day, or if you're ever there, it's great to have that as an option in the box. If you ever find yourself using it, I personally use it with CBD crystals. If you're just looking for some CBD, you can get some really great CBD crystals and pop that in the concentrate chamber, and it vaporizes great. You also get the half pack oven lid. So this is an oven lid that is just slightly thicker than the standard oven lid. And then basically that means, like I say, it works really great if you're using if you grind really finely and pack really tightly. If you don't have enough herb to pack for about 0.5 gram in there, you can just use that. And then if you know, say only want to use a little bit, get the great flavor and change it again and go quicker back to the great flavor, then it's a great option to have. You know, if you're running low, you don't necessarily have to get a bad experience out of your packs because it's rattling around in there. You can use the half pack oven lid and make sure it tastes great and gives you good vapor production. And
what about putting hash in it? Is that possible? Can you put hash in your
so
vape?
it is not designed for hash. We don't recommend using it for hash. People have used it for hash, and some people have told me it worked great, but most people have told me it is not a great device for hash. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't recommend it for hash, but like with all things, people use it in their own way.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, the half pack oven lid is a good segue into another product, which is the PAX Mini. Just touch on that briefly. It's a really easy to use device. So in the box, you don't get as many accessories. You just open it up and you've got the device there. And then behind the device, you get the charger and the accessory kit. So you still get the raised mouthpiece with this one as well. You still get a cleaning wire brush. You still get the charger. And then the device itself has a 1/4 gram oven. So if you see there, it's just a little bit smaller than all the other PAX devices. So PAX Mini has just got one mode. It's going to figure out if you're a person who takes long pulls or short pulls. If people maybe a bit technophobic, maybe they struggle with their hands, things like that, PAX Mini is a great option because it's literally just one hard press on the top of the device. It's on. That is all you have to do. So it's super easy to use, super user-friendly. It's a little bit cheaper. So hopefully a lot of people will find that they love this and it'll be great as their first vaporizer.
Amazing. Thank you for that info. And also another little reminder that we are giving one of these PAX Cancard vapes away at the end of the month. So stay tuned to our social media to find out how you can enter that and see if you can win yourself maybe an upgrade on the vape that you have at the moment. Maybe you're brand new to vaping and it's your first vaporizer, but keep an eye on our socials for that competition near the end of the month. And what do you do when you clean your vape? Like, what do you do with the stuff that's in the vape? Can you keep that? Is that usable again?
So, yep, you can. A lot of people call that AVB. So there is scope to, once you've vaporized your herb, you can take it out and then it is already vaped bud. And then a lot of people use that for other things. So check with your doctor. Your doctor may not be sure of the dosage that would be in that. So do be careful. But a lot of people use it because they find you can then take it out of your vaporizer. And this is applicable to all vaporizers, not just PAX, and then put it in your food, can of butter, things like that. So a lot of people like to do that, but again, there's some medicinal cannabis companies in the UK are a little bit sketchy on that, because obviously then they like to control the dosage and things like that, and they may not be so sure what dosage you get in, but there's definitely scope to have fun with that if you're allowed.
Yeah, so, and for those that maybe just missed that, that's AVB, which is already vaped bud. So that's when you put your flower in, you use it in your vape, and then you tap out the bud once you've used it. You can check out our YouTube channel, where Carly actually has quite a lot of videos and stuff on there of recipes and things that you can do with that bud once you've already vaped it. So check out our YouTube channel there. It's just Cancard _UK, the same as our handles on it, all our other social media platforms. So with this Cancard vaporizer that we're giving away, the PAX Plus, where exactly do you vape it? Like, my vaporizer has a little spout on it almost that I can inhale, but I'm not very sure how this one would work.
So you've got a little hole here, and that is a really discreet. If you look at it as it is in your hand and my hand, it barely looks like a vaporizer. It's super discreet. So that's great for when you're out and about, because obviously some people prefer more of a pronounced mouthpiece that feels more like, you know, something you've rolled or something, any other vaporizer. And then PAX has this one where it's just really discreet, barely looks like a mouthpiece, and you can just put your mouth on the corner there and take a slight inhale. We do recommend with the PAX, we always say it's a sipper, not a ripper. So if you take a big inhale like with a bong, it's not like that. It's like, if a bong is like a Jaeger bomb, this is like a nice little cocktail. You're just going to have a few nice sips on and slowly enjoy. If we realize this necessarily isn't for everyone, so you can use the keyring that comes with it. If you don't have nails, it's super easy to just poke that up and into the mouthpiece and pop that out. So then the mouthpiece comes off and you can see the top there, and then you've got another mouthpiece in the accessory kit. Pop that on, and then that looks more like the kind of vaporizer style most people are used to. So again, like I said, with a boost mode, is great for first time users. I recommend this. When I got my first PAX, I put this straight on. I was like, this looks really weird, I'll use this one. And then ever since, for years now, I just use the flat mouthpiece, just because when you're out and about, it just looks so much more discreet. You might, with something that looks a bit more like a vaporizer, you might have to answer a few more questions.
Yeah, and I suppose when people are thinking about herb vaporizers and they're not used to what they look like, I suppose they're expecting something that's going to look like a vaporizer, whereas this doesn't look really like anything, to be honest. It's a very kind of discreet. The top of it doesn't look like, it doesn't smell of cannabis. It doesn't have any flower on it. There's no symbol of cannabis on it whatsoever. So there's that as well with this version of your PAX, is that it doesn't look like anything to do related with cannabis as well. So I suppose that would be a really nice thing for patients, in that it's very discreet. It can slip into their handbag or their pocket, and they don't have to worry about carrying a big bulky vaporizer with them. But in terms of consumption for it, you know, you've explained that at the bottom of it is where the heat chamber is, but do you have any spare heat chambers that you can pre-grind your flour and pack it and take your chambers with you? So if you need more than one, you have it on you. Is that a thing that they do as well?
Yes, a few accessories you can get alongside PAX. So for example, you can get the bud cups. So I have this handy little bud case here, and then you open it up, and then you've just got 6 of the bud cups. They are literally, they fit perfect in the PAX Plus. And then you can literally just pre-fill them, put your herb in 6 of these, and then just put that in your pocket, take it out with you. And then when you're out and about, instead of having to grind and refill, you can literally just pop your old bud cup back in there, pop a new one in, and you're good to go. So the bud cups are out there. And
yeah. That's an amazing feature, actually. That really is great, because then you don't have to worry about grinding and taking your flour with you. So you're not carrying lots of flour with you. You're just taking enough that you need for wherever you're going for the day.
Yeah, so obviously You know, it's not so good if you've got a vaporizer that is hopefully not giving off much smell, but then you've got your prescription in your bag, you've got your grinder in your bag, and all these other things giving off loads of smell. So it's just great to carry a little bit less and have a few less things smelling up your bag.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it just comes down to peace of mind for patients. It's how can we make the environment where patients are consuming their medicine, how can we make it as safe for them as possible, and also for them to feel safe and for them to feel discreet. And, you know, we hear a lot from cannabis patients who, of course, are using cannabis to medicate, but would rather not have to. You know, there are a huge amount of people that love cannabis and use it to medicate. But there are also the percentage of patients who wish that they didn't have to use cannabis on a daily basis, you know? So I think that's a really nice thing to think about, is that that you don't have to be worried about the smell. You don't have to carry a lot of stuff with you. And it is quite a discreet way of consuming if you have to, if you're in the middle of, you know, a public space, or you can just sort of move over to the side, take your cannabis medicine, feel better about yourself, feel okay, and then just go on the rest of your day without worrying about leaving that smell in your handbag, on your clothes. So I think that's a really important thing. I think finding peace of mind for patients is really fundamental, and protection for patients is really fundamental to what we try and achieve at Cancard. So that's a really good feature on it as well.
Yeah, I think our company's views align there in terms of this is what the PAX Plus especially is about, and the PAX Mini. So it's just about making sure that everything is, you know, the PAX Plus it's just improving on things of the PAX 3 and just making it a little bit more user friendly, making it a little bit easier for people. And we just want to be the device people go to when they want a kind of completely easy experience that, like I say, they'll just be able to open up, pack their flower in, and then have a great experience, a discreet experience, and get to, you know, hopefully medicate themselves, not have to worry about people asking what's that every 5 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. I think that's given us a kind of beginner's guide to the PAX vape in itself. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop us questions via Instagram, just DM us on Twitter, whatever. If anything you listen to and anything comes up with you and it resonates with you, or you have a few questions, I'm sure between myself and Kyle we'll be able to get you a little bit of information. You did mention that you're going to expos and stuff this year. I'm assuming that maybe the team from PAX will be at Product Earth. That's the next.
Yep. So it won't be, we'll have a little presence there. I'll be there. And we'll be selling some of the PAX devices. And if you're going down to see Cancard, make sure you swing by, and I'm sure we'll be pointing to each other and sending people to each other's way all day. And if you head down, there should be a nice discount, about 20% off PAX devices. So head down, and it's a great place to pick one up.
Amazing. Okay, so that's good to know. If you're attending Product Earth, there is a 20% discount on all PAX vapes at the festival over the weekend. Cancard team and the Grow Lab Organics team will be at Product Earth. We have a stall there, so we'll be there all weekend. So please pop down. We've got some couches laid out. We've got a nice little chill out area. Come down, say hello. Come down, meet the PAX team, meet Kyle, ask him as many questions as you want, maybe get a discount and get your first vape. But thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today, Kyle. Really appreciate your time. And hopefully we'll be able to chat again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for listening to the Cancast podcast. You can listen to that back and follow us on Spotify or Amazon Music. And give us a follow, give us a share, tag us in your social media. Let's promote vaporizing of our medicine. Let's promote cannabis medicine in general. Let's start to create more educational content and conversations around how we can consume our medicine safely, and how the Cancard team and the PAX team can maybe support you through that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for listening. Chat to you all soon.